Hello, Rob Walker here. We are back, as you can see, to the original blogging area of my house. I'm no longer in my editing room with the drab wallpaper and it's kind of a bummer in there. And I'm no longer holding a shaky iPhone and asking you guys to watch it. I think this is a lot better, don't you guys? Two announcements. The first one being, if you're going to be in the Greeley, Colorado area this week, April 24th on a Thursday, you should stop by the Centennial Library at 2 o'clock. I will be doing a talk about The Tempest by William Shakespeare. Not only was I trained in theater, but I was also trained as an educator, so it's going to be edutainment. You should stop by. Not only is it going to be fun, I think it's also free. Item the second. As I mentioned in the previous video blog, I am currently rehearsing a play. The play is 21A. It's a very funny show written by Kevin Kring, all about a Minneapolis city bus and all the crazy characters on it. So if you're going to be in the Windsor, Greeley area next month in May, you should consider seeing the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll leave information in the description so you can check it out if you want to. Now on to the video blog proper, now that I've kind of inundated you with all this news and stuff. So there is a video blogger, a vlogger that I follow. Her name is Orla Joe. She does a lot of different stuff. She plays ukulele, she does book reviews, comic book reviews. She has a series called Graphic Details, which talks about comic books and talks about the depth of comic books, like female characters, sexual relationships. That's a really interesting series. Once again, I'll put a link in the description. I'm giving you guys a lot to mull over this week, but I hope you take the opportunity to look through it all. She's very good, but she's always doing like lists of her favorite comics at the time. And I always feel like a jackass because I'm the guy that comments and like, well, what about this comic? You should review this comic. And she's always very nice, and she says, you know, I'll look at that one, or I don't have time to review all the comics that you want me to review, or whatever. So rather than inundate her with comics she should be reviewing, I decided to compile my own list of comics. This probably won't be the only one of these. I am a huge comic book reader, and I like to recommend things to people, so I will probably be doing more of these in the future. But I have compiled a list of 6 comic books that I like, 3 of which could be considered to be for younger readers or all ages. I really enjoy them. First up on my list is an all ages book. At least I think it's all ages. You can't go wrong with a classic. It is Superman. And this particular book is called Superman Infinite City. Now I know Superman takes a lot of crap for being too perfect, but when kids get into superhero comics, they read Superman, and he can be a good character. You just gotta know what to do with him. The recent Man of Steel movie was not all that great, but that's another video blog in and of itself. Superman Infinite City, written by Mike Kennedy, illustrated by Carlos Meglia, or Melia. Basically, Lois Lane and Clark Kent find a low-level street thug has his hands on a gun that's like a super gun, and nobody knows where it came from, and it's obviously like alien technology. So they trace the gun to a place called Infinite City Industries, and they find this address out in the middle of the desert, and it's nothing but like an old 50s diner. And what it is they find out that this diner is a portal to another dimension. An Infinite City is you know, the ultimate futuristic city. There are mutants, there are aliens, there are interdimensional travelers, there's future tech, but there's also a man in a red suit that flies around, and he bears a striking resemblance to Superman. So Superman has kind of a connection to this city. I won't spoil it for you, but definitely check it out. Wonderful, wonderful all-ages story, a lot of fun. Really has some beautiful moments. No swearing. It's just a good, fun adventure story. Superman Infinite City. Check it out. Up next is Planetary, written by Warren Ellis and drawn by John Cassaday. This is kind of a superhero book as well. It's more sci-fi, but it's got pulp elements. Basically, you're following this guy named Elijah Snow, who is an immortal super being who takes it upon himself to be a archaeologist of the strange, as he sees himself. He kind of gathers a team of other like-minded individuals, and they They kind of solve mysteries. It's kind of like Fringe, but with superheroes. It's very good. They do a lot of homages to the Victorian era, the pulp era. There are some Doc Savage analogs, the Shadow analogs in there. They do a little turn on the kaiju film genre. Just really neat, strange stuff, but this is definitely a mature audience title. It's not for everyone, but I just absolutely fell in love with this book. Up next is another all-ages title. This title is called Amulet. I didn't discover this. My wife did. Actually, I think my sister did, and then my wife got into it. But this is an excellent all-ages title. It's a cool fairy tale. These kids suffer a family tragedy. There's a car accident, and they go to live in the house of their ancestor, and they discover that there's a world like underneath it. That's the best way I could describe it. The art is very, I don't want to say simplistic, but very storybookish. We get simplistic looking characters, but some excellent ink work and some excellent painting in here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Amulet is a fantastic book, well-drawn characters. You'll get sucked in really quick, I promise. The book is written by Kazu Kibuishi. Once again, I'm sorry for mispronouncing that name. And it is published by Scholastic. Amulet's a beautiful book. You should check it out. Up next is American Vampire. It's no secret that I'm a huge horror fan, and this is one of the best horror comics I've ever read. I know vampires are kind of played out, but this really did it for me. It tells the story of America growing from young nation in the Old West to the modern day and using the vampire mythology to tell that story. Volume 1 has to do with the early days of Hollywood, and we follow a character named Pearl, who's a young actress trying to make it, and she runs afoul of these vampires who happen to be running the movie studios. We also get a great backup story by Stephen King that tells the origin of the first American vampire, a Western outlaw by the name of Skinner Sweet. He also manages to do a sly tie-in to some of his own work with the setting being Sidewinder, Colorado. Fans of Stephen King will recognize this as the setting for Misery and The Shining. So this book is really well written. The art style done by Raphael Albuquerque, the writing done by Scott Snyder, really paired well together. If you like vampires, if you like monsters, and you haven't given this a shot yet, it's great. It's published by DC's imprint Vertigo. They always do good stuff. So yeah, American Vampire, check it out. Bone. I know this book makes everyone's list for all ages, but it really is just a good all-around story. My friend Steve lent me the book originally, and he says, you're following these cute characters, these bone characters, as they're kicked out of their town, and they're going on all these cute adventures, and the world's really sweet. And then you get midway through the story, and you realize you're in a Lord of the Rings style epic. It sneaks up on you. It kind of tricks you into... It tricks you with the cuteness, and then you find yourself in this huge, elaborate world filled with monsters and magic, and it really is an excellent all-ages title. Everyone should have read this book, and if you haven't, you need to read it. It's beautiful. You'll plow right through it. And the final book on my list is Lock and Key. This book is written by Joe Hill and illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez. It is a horror comic. This isn't for children. This is very mature readers. This family suffers a tragedy. There's a break-in. The father of the family gets killed, so the mother, her daughter, and her two sons move into the house, the ancestral home of the family, where the father grew up, and they learn that this house has all these different keys, and these keys are magic and they do different things. And meanwhile, there's another being, there's another person or entity that is looking for these keys to unlock a doorway that will basically kind of end the world. It is a frustrating story to read sometimes because good characters die. And bad characters sometimes get what they're after. But this book is beautiful. They just finished up their 6th volume. The story's over. There's no more story. So you should be able to get these from your local library. That's how I was able to read them. Yeah, excellent book. if you have a love of horror and like to read a good, detailed, passionate story, you should definitely pick up Lock and Key. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video blog. If you did, let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions for me of comics that I should be reading, please let me know. I do have an assignment for you guys for next week's video blog. I know a lot of video bloggers have done this in the past, and I've tried to avoid it, but I still am kind of fascinated by it. I want you guys to ask me questions, and I will answer them in the next video blog. You can ask me whatever you want. Please try to be tasteful, and I will answer it. You can ask them here on this video. You can ask me in private messages on YouTube, I suppose. You can also ask me on the Rob Walker Films Facebook page. There's always a link in the description. But yeah, ask me questions. They could be about myself. They could be about my opinions on things. They just, so long as I can answer them, and they are tasteful, I will answer those questions. So the next video blog, the next Walkers Talkers video, will be driven by you guys. If I don't get enough questions, then I guess I'll do something else. But if you have any interest in this whatsoever, pass it around and let other people know, and leave comments. Leave comments on Rob Walker Films' Facebook page. And yeah, this is Rob Walker saying thank you for watching.